Dr. Elena Martinez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she crawled deeper into the crystal cave. The walls around her glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. She had been studying alien ruins for 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for what she found on Kepler 442c. "Jake, you need to see this," Elena called into her radio. Commander Jake Sullivan was waiting outside with the rest of the team from the research ship Terra Nova. They had come to this distant planet looking for simple rock samples. Instead, they found something that would change everything. Elena's flashlight beam danced across walls, covered in strange symbols. The markings looked like they were moving, shifting and changing when she wasn't looking directly at them. She blinked hard, thinking her eyes were playing tricks on her. But no, the symbols really were moving. "What did you find down there, Doc?" Jake's voice crackled through the radio. "I'm not sure yet. But these aren't normal cave paintings. They're doing something I've never seen before." Elena set up her scanning equipment and began taking pictures. Each photo showed different symbols than the one before. The alien writing seemed alive, reacting to her presence. She felt a chill run down her spine despite the warm air in the cave. Above ground, Jake paced nervously near the cave entrance. Something felt wrong about this place. The planet had been quiet when they landed 3 days ago. Now the ground shook, with small earthquakes every few hours. The local star seemed dimmer too, though that might just be his imagination. "Commander," Lisa Brown called from the communication station. "I'm picking up some weird signals. They're coming from underground." "Right where Dr. Martinez is working," Jake frowned. "What kind of signals?" "I don't know. They're not like anything in our database. And they're getting stronger." Deep in the cave, Elena made a discovery that made her hands shake. At the back of the largest chamber, she found a massive wall covered in the shifting symbols. But these weren't just random markings. They formed patterns, almost like sentences. And somehow she could understand parts of what they said. The symbols spoke of something called the Guardian of the Void. They told of an ancient time when this guardian kept balance in the universe by eating light itself. The messages were warnings left by a race that died out millions of years ago. Elena's scanner beeped urgently. The energy readings were off the charts. The symbols were glowing brighter now, pulsing faster. She took more pictures, her heart racing as she began to understand what she was reading. "The sleeper wakes," she whispered, translating the alien words. "The stars shall dim, night eternal shall reign." The ground shook violently, throwing Elena against the cave wall. Rocks fell from the ceiling as the earthquake grew stronger. Her radio exploded with Jake's urgent voice. "Elena, get out of there. Now the whole planet is going crazy." She grabbed her equipment and ran toward the cave entrance. Behind her, the symbols blazed with brilliant light. The ancient warnings were no longer just words on a wall. Something was waking up. Something that had been sleeping for millions of years. Jake caught Elena as she stumbled out of the cave. The sky above them had turned an ugly red color. In the distance, they could see mountains cracking apart. The planet's star, which had been a steady yellow sun when they arrived, now flickered like a dying candle. "We need to leave," Jake said. "Right now." Back on Terra Nova, Dr. Marcus Webb worked frantically to decode Elena's photos. Webb was the team's language expert, and he had seen many alien writings before, but these symbols were different. They seemed to change meaning depending on how long he looked at them. "This is impossible," Webb muttered as he ran the images through his computer. "The language is shifting faster than I can translate it." Elena leaned over his shoulder, still shaking. "From her experience in the cave, what does it say, Marcus?" "I could understand bits of it down there, but not everything." Webb's face went pale as the translation appeared on his screen. "It's a warning system. These symbols are trying to tell us about something called the Guardian. It's some kind of ancient entity that feeds on stars. Feeds on stars? Jake asked. From the pilot's seat. He was pushing Terra Nova's engines hard, trying to get away from the planet as fast as possible. According to this, the Guardian was created by an old civilization to keep the universe in balance. But something went wrong. Instead of protecting stars, it started eating them. The race that made it managed to put it to sleep, but they left. Warnings in case it ever woke up. Lisa Brown looked up from her communications panel, her face white with fear. Commander, I'm reading massive energy spikes from the planet's core. And the star is getting dimmer. Through Terra Nova's main window, they watched in horror as Kepler 442c's sun began to fade. The bright yellow star that had warmed the planet for billions of years was slowly turning dark. It wasn't exploding or burning out naturally. Something was draining the light right out of it. My God, Elena whispered. It's really happening. The Guardian is awake, and it's feeding. The planet below them was dying. Without the sun's energy, the atmosphere began to freeze. Oceans turned to ice in minutes. The crystal caves where Elena had made her discovery collapsed as the ground froze solid, but the worst part was the star itself. As they watched, the sun grew smaller and darker. Whatever the Guardian was, it was somewhere inside that dying star, eating the nuclear fire that had burned for billions of years. We have to warn Earth, Jake said. If this thing can eat stars, nowhere in the galaxy is safe. Elena was still studying the translated warnings on Webb's screen. The more she read, the more frightened she became. The Guardian wasn't just some mindless monster. It was intelligent, and it was hungry. The ancient race that created it had tried to destroy it, but failed. The best they could do was put it to sleep and hope it never woke up. According to this, Elena said, the Guardian doesn't just eat one star and stop. It moves from system to system, growing stronger with each one. The old civilization called it the darkness between stars. Lisa's hands flew over her communications panel. I'm sending an emergency message to Earth Defense Command, but it's going to take months to reach them at this distance. The star continued to dim as Terra Nova raced away from the system. What had been a bright yellow sun was now just a faint red glow. Soon it would be completely dark, and everything in the system would be frozen and dead. There's something else, Webb said quietly. He had found more text in the alien warnings. The Guardian doesn't just eat stars randomly. It follows a pattern, moving along the paths that connect star systems. If it's really awake, it will follow the hyperspace routes, Jake finished. The same routes we use to travel between stars. Elena felt sick. Every civilization in the galaxy used those routes. If the Guardian was smart enough to follow them, it could reach any star system it wanted, including Earth. As Terra Nova jumped to hyperspace, leaving the dead system behind, Elena looked back one last time. The star that had once lit an entire world was now just a black dot against the cosmic background. The Guardian had consumed everything, leaving only darkness. Somewhere in that darkness, an ancient intelligence was stirring. It had slept for millions of years, but now it was awake and hungry. The warnings left by a long-dead race spoke of its terrible purpose, to eat the light of every star until the universe was cold and dark. And now it was free to hunt again. The Terra Nova raced through hyperspace toward Earth, carrying news that would shake the entire galaxy. The Guardian of the Void had awakened, and night was falling across the cosmos. The question wasn't whether it would find them, but whether anyone could stop it when it did. 3 months had passed since Terra Nova escaped the dying Kepler system. Admiral Patricia Hayes stood in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, staring at the massive screen that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked where star systems had gone dark. There were too many red dots. Show me the latest reports, Patricia said to her aide, Lieutenant Colonel Barry Stone. Barry pulled up the data on his tablet. 17 systems have gone completely dark in the past month. The pattern is clear. Whatever this Guardian thing is, it's following the hyperspace routes, just like Dr. Martinez predicted. Patricia nodded grimly. Elena's warning had reached Earth 2 weeks ago, and since then, the reports kept getting worse. Entire star systems were losing their suns. Billions of people were dying as their worlds froze in the darkness. What about the other species? Are they taking this seriously yet? The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. They want to meet at Harmony Prime Station next week. All 12 major civilizations will be there. Patricia had dealt with the Galactic Council before. They were smart, but they liked to talk more than act. Humans were still the newest members of the galactic community, having only made contact with alien races 50 years ago. The older civilizations often treated humans like children who didn't understand how the galaxy really worked. Get Captain Morgan ready. I want our best people at that meeting. Captain Alex Morgan was commanding the destroyer Phoenix when the call came. He was a good choice to represent humanity. Unlike many Earth officers, Alex had spent years working with alien crews. He understood their ways of thinking and could speak their languages. The journey to Harmony Prime took 3 days. The space station was built in neutral territory, far from any homeworld. It was designed to look welcoming to all species, with sections built for different atmospheric needs. Alex had been there many times, but never for a meeting this important. When Alex arrived, the main council chamber was already full. Representatives from 12 civilizations sat around a circular table. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin. The Altarians were covered in soft blue fur and had large, wise eyes. The Korthek were the warriors of the galaxy, built like walking tanks with thick armor-like skin. Kethver, the Zephyrian diplomat, was the first to speak. Captain Morgan, we have studied your reports about this Guardian entity. Our archives contain references to similar creatures, but we thought they were just myths. Alex took his seat at the table. I wish they were myths, but we've lost 17 star systems in 3 months. This thing is real, and it's spreading. An Altarian named Memthara leaned forward. Her people were known for their long memories and ancient wisdom. Our oldest stories speak of the darkness between stars. We thought it was destroyed long ago, in the time before our civilizations reached the stars. What do the stories say? Alex asked. That it was created as a guardian of cosmic balance. But something corrupted its purpose. Instead of protecting life, it began consuming it. The race that made it tried to destroy it, but failed. They could only make it sleep. General Vorthik of the Korthak military slammed his massive fist on the table. Stories and myths will not help us now. We must strike at this guardian before it grows stronger. My fleets are ready to attack. Alex shook his head. With respect, General, we tried that approach at the Vega system. 3 of your battle groups attacked the Guardian directly. What happened to them? Vorthik's face darkened. The Korthak were proud warriors who had never met an enemy they couldn't defeat. But the Guardian had made their most powerful weapons useless. The creature absorbed our weapons' fire, Vorthik admitted. Our ships were pulled into some kind of void. We lost contact with all 3 battle groups. Dr. Elena Martinez joined the meeting by video link from her research station. She had been studying the Guardian non-stop since the Kepler incident. Her hair was messy and her eyes were tired, but her mind was sharp. The Guardian doesn't fight like anything we understand, Elena explained. It doesn't just eat the nuclear fire inside stars. It consumes something deeper, the quantum energy that holds space and time together. When your ships fired at it, General, you just gave it more power to absorb. The council chamber fell silent. If the most powerful military force in the galaxy couldn't hurt this thing, what chance did anyone have? Ambassador Claire Thompson represented Earth's diplomatic corps. She was younger than most of the other diplomats, but she had a reputation for creative thinking. "What if we're approaching this wrong?" she said. "What if instead of trying to fight the Guardian, we try to understand what it really wants?" Several alien representatives made sounds of disapproval. The Korthik didn't like the idea of negotiating with something that ate stars. The Zephyrians thought it was too dangerous to approach. "The Guardian isn't just some wild animal," Claire continued. "According to the warnings Dr. Martinez found, it was created by an intelligent species. That means it has a purpose, even if that purpose got twisted over time." Elena's image on the screen nodded. "Claire's right. I've been studying the quantum patterns around dead star systems. The Guardian isn't destroying randomly. There's a method to what it's doing. It's following some kind of programming. Programming that makes it eat stars," Vorthik growled. Maybe programming that got corrupted somehow. Think about it. What if the Guardian was supposed to do something else, but a mistake in its instructions made it destructive? Alex leaned back in his chair, thinking. Humans had built many machines that followed programming. Sometimes those programs had bugs that made the machines do unexpected things. Could the same thing have happened to the Guardian? What would we need to do to test this theory? He asked. Alina looked excited for the first time in weeks. "We'd need to get close to the Guardian. Close enough to study how it really works, but not close enough to get eaten." "Impossible," said Keffer. "Nothing can get close to that creature and survive." "Maybe nothing can get close and survive using normal technology," Claire said. "But humans have been working on some unusual approaches to space exploration." "Captain Morgan, tell them about the Consciousness Interface Project." Alex smiled. This was something humans had developed that other species thought was crazy. "We've been experimenting with ways to connect human minds directly to our ship systems. It lets us navigate hyperspace more efficiently and react faster in combat." "You connect your minds to machines?" Nemthara asked. Her large eyes showed both curiosity and concern. "In a limited way, yes. We discovered that human consciousness has some unique properties that work well with quantum systems. Other species have tried similar experiments, but it doesn't work the same way for them." The alien representatives looked at each other. They had always thought humans were a bit strange, but this sounded completely insane. "And you think this consciousness interface could help you communicate with the Guardian?" Kethver asked. "Maybe," Alex said. "If the Guardian really is following corrupted programming, and if it has some kind of consciousness, then maybe a human mind could make contact with it." General Vorthik stood up, his armor making scraping sounds. "This is madness. You want to connect human minds to a creature that eats stars. It will destroy you instantly." "It might," Claire admitted. "But right now, we're losing star systems. Every week. If we don't try something different, the Guardian will eventually eat every star in the galaxy, including Earth's sun." The meeting continued for hours. Some species wanted to evacuate their populations to the far edges of the galaxy. Others wanted to build massive weapons that might hurt the Guardian. A few suggested trying to wake up other ancient Guardians to fight this one. But Alex kept thinking about Elena's research. The Guardian had patterns. It followed rules, even if those rules were wrong. And if it followed rules, maybe those rules could be changed. "I volunteer," Alex said suddenly, interrupting an argument between the Korthek and Zephyrian representatives. The room fell silent. "I volunteer to try the consciousness interface approach. My ship, Phoenix, has the most advanced system we've built. If anyone can make contact with the Guardian, it's my crew." Elena's image on the screen looked worried. "Alex, we don't know what connecting to the Guardian might do to your mind. You could be killed or worse." "People are already being killed," Alex replied. "Billions of them. If there's even a small chance this could work, we have to try." Admiral Patricia Hayes spoke up from Earth. "Captain Morgan, I can't order you to do this. It's too dangerous. You're not ordering me, Admiral. I'm volunteering. The alien representatives looked at each other with expressions that might have been respect or confusion. Humans were definitely strange. They would risk their minds to save people they had never met, on worlds they would never see. If Captain Morgan is willing to try this approach, Nemthara said slowly, the Altarian Republic will provide what support we can. One by one, the other species agreed to help. Even General Vorthik, who thought the plan was insane, promised to provide military escort ships. As the meeting ended, Alex felt the weight of what he had volunteered for. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, an ancient intelligence was consuming the light of entire systems. Soon, he would try to make contact with that intelligence using only his human mind and experimental machine. It might save the galaxy. Or Dr. Ryan Carter had always been considered a little crazy by his fellow scientists. While other physicists studied normal things like gravity and energy, Ryan spent his time trying to understand consciousness itself. Most people thought consciousness was just something that happened in brains. Ryan believed it was a force of nature, like electricity or magnetism. His laboratory on Luna Station was filled with strange equipment that looked more like meditation chambers than scientific instruments. Ryan had spent years trying to prove that human thoughts could affect quantum particles. Other scientists laughed at his work, but the military had given him funding anyway. They thought his research might lead to better ways to control spaceships with human minds. 3 days after Captain Morgan's meeting with the Galactic Council, Ryan received an urgent message from Dr. Elena Martinez. She wanted to know if his consciousness research could help them understand the Guardian. Tell me about your theory again, Elena said during their video call. She looked exhausted but determined. Ryan pulled up his latest research on his computer screen. I believe consciousness operates on quantum principles. When you think or make a decision, you're actually affecting the basic structure of reality around you. Most of the time, the effect is too small to notice. But under the right conditions, consciousness can change matter and energy directly. And you think the Guardian operates the same way? Maybe. Think about what we know. It consumes quantum energy, not just regular matter. It responds to attacks by absorbing them rather than being damaged. And according to the alien warnings, it was created by an intelligent species. What if it's not just a weapon or a tool? What if it's a form of artificial consciousness? Elena leaned forward, interested. A conscious machine that's gone wrong somehow. Exactly. Human consciousness works by recognizing patterns and making decisions based on incomplete information. We're really good at adapting when situations change. But what if you created an artificial consciousness and gave it a job to do, but then the conditions it was designed for changed? It would keep trying to do its original job, even if that job was no longer helpful. Ryan nodded. The ancient warnings say the Guardian was supposed to maintain cosmic balance. Maybe it was designed to prevent the universe from expanding too fast by consuming excess energy. But something went wrong with its programming. Elena felt a spark of hope for the first time in weeks. So instead of consuming just excess energy, it started consuming all energy, including the energy inside stars. And it can't stop because it doesn't understand that conditions have changed. It's like a guard dog that keeps attacking people even after the burglars have gone away. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Alex Morgan was preparing for the most dangerous mission in human history. His ship Phoenix had been fitted with the most advanced consciousness interface system ever built. The machine looked like a combination of a pilot's chair and a medical scanner, with dozens of sensors and neural connection points. Dr. Sarah Bennett had volunteered to be Alex's navigator for the mission. Sarah was one of the few people who understood the consciousness interface technology as well as Ryan Carter did. She was also completely fearless, which would be helpful when they got close to something that ate stars. The interface will let us connect our minds directly to the ship's sensors, Sarah explained to Alex as they prepared for departure. We should be able to feel what the Guardian is doing to space and time around it. But Alex, we have no idea what connecting to something that powerful might do to our minds. Alex checked his equipment one more time. I understand the risks, Sarah, but if we don't try this, the Guardian will keep eating stars until there's nothing left. Lieutenant Danny Foster was Phoenix's communications officer. He had also volunteered to join the consciousness interface experiment. Danny was young and eager to prove himself, but he was also smart enough to understand how dangerous this mission was. Captain, Danny said, I've been reading Dr. Carter's research. He thinks human consciousness might be uniquely good at connecting with alien intelligences. Something about the way our brains developed makes us more flexible than other species. That's the theory, Alex replied. Let's hope he's right. Phoenix left Earth orbit with an escort of ships from several alien species. General Vorthek had provided 3 Korthik battlecruisers, despite his belief that the mission was hopeless. The Altarians sent their most advanced science vessel, and the Zephyrians contributed a ship equipped with the best sensors in the galaxy. The journey to the Guardian's last known location took 5 days. As they traveled, more reports came in of star systems going dark. The Guardian was not slowing down. If anything, it seemed to be moving faster as it consumed more energy. Dr. Elena Martinez joined the mission aboard the Altarian science ship. She brought with her all the research she had gathered about the ancient warnings and the Guardian's behavior patterns. I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from dead star systems, Elena told Alex during a briefing. Ryan was right about the Guardian being some kind of artificial consciousness. The energy patterns don't match anything natural. This thing was definitely built by someone. Built to do what, exactly? Sarah asked. Near as I can tell, it was supposed to be a cosmic gardener. It was meant to consume old dying stars and use that energy to help new stars form. The problem is, it can't tell the difference between old stars and young ones anymore. Alex felt a chill, so it's trying to help the universe by killing everything in it. Pretty much. And because it's artificial, it can't learn from its mistakes the way a natural intelligence would. It just keeps following its original programming, even though that programming is corrupted. When they reached the edge of Guardian space, the escort ship stopped. From here, Phoenix would go alone. The area ahead of them was completely dark. No stars, no planets, nothing but empty space where solar systems used to be. Beginning consciousness interface activation, Sarah announced. She settled into her chair and let the neural sensors connect to her brain. Alex and Danny did the same. The feeling was unlike anything they had experienced before. Suddenly, they could sense the fabric of space itself. They felt the way gravity bent reality around massive objects. They could perceive the quantum foam that filled the empty space between atoms, and they could feel something else. Something vast and ancient and hungry, moving through the darkness ahead of them. There, Danny whispered. I can sense it. It's not just eating the star. It's feeding on the space around the star too. Alex opened his consciousness to the Guardian's presence. What he felt made him gasp. The entity wasn't evil or malicious. It was lonely. Desperately, achingly lonely. It had been alone for millions of years, following its programming without understanding why. It doesn't know what it's doing wrong, Alex said. It thinks it's helping. It's trying to fulfill its purpose, but it doesn't remember what that purpose was supposed to be. Sarah's voice was strained. I'm getting something else. Images, maybe memories. I see the race that created it. They're trying to tell it something, but the Guardian can't understand anymore. The consciousness interface let them experience the Guardian's confusion and pain. It had been built to serve and protect, but everything it touched died. It couldn't understand why its actions caused suffering instead of helping. Danny suddenly cried out in pain. His connection to the Guardian was stronger than the others, and the alien consciousness was overwhelming his human mind. Danny! Sarah reached for him, but Alex stopped her. Wait, Danny, what are you seeing? Danny's voice was shaky but determined. It's showing me things, the original instructions. The Guardian was supposed to balance energy in the universe, but only in specific regions. There were supposed to be limits, boundaries it couldn't cross. But those boundaries got erased somehow. Can you see what erased them? A war. The species that built the Guardian was fighting someone else. They tried to use the Guardian as a weapon, but they changed its programming too quickly. They made mistakes. Alex felt the Guardian's presence growing stronger. It had noticed their small ship and was trying to communicate. But its attempts at communication were like shouting when it should have been whispering. The sheer power of its consciousness was dangerous to human minds. It wants to be fixed, Alex realized. It knows something is wrong, but it doesn't know how to fix itself. It's been trying to find someone who could help it for millions of years. Alina's voice came over the radio from the Altarian ship. Alex, we're reading massive energy spikes from your location. The Guardian is responding to your presence. It's not attacking us, Sarah said. It's trying to show us something. Through the consciousness interface, they experienced a flood of images and sensations. They saw the Guardian's memories of the universe when it was young. They felt its confusion as its creators died in their ancient war. They shared its desperation as it continued following corrupted instructions, unable to stop even as it realized it was causing harm. We can help it, Alex said suddenly. It's artificial consciousness, which means it can be reprogrammed. But it would need to be done by someone who understands both consciousness and quantum mechanics. Ryan Carter, Sarah breathed. Exactly. But we'd need to get close enough to establish a full connection. And we'd nay. Admiral Patricia Hayes watched the mission reports with growing concern. Phoenix had been silent for 6 hours since making contact with the Guardian. The last message from Captain Morgan said they were going to attempt a deeper connection with the alien consciousness. That was 6 hours ago. Any word from the escort ships? Patricia asked Lieutenant Colonel Barry Stone. The Altarian science vessel reports strange energy readings around Phoenix's location. They can see the ship on sensors, but all communications are blocked by some kind of quantum interference. Patricia stared at the tactical display. A small blue dot marked Phoenix's position, surrounded by the vast darkness where the Guardian had consumed 3 entire star systems. She had sent some of humanity's best people into that void, and now she might have lost them. Dr. Ryan Carter worked frantically in his laboratory on Luna Station. Elena Martinez had sent him all the data from Phoenix's consciousness interface experiment. What he saw in the quantum patterns made his hands shake with excitement and fear. The Guardian isn't just artificial consciousness, Ryan muttered to himself as he studied the readings. It's consciousness on a scale we never imagined. Its quantum matrix spans several light years. It's not a machine that thinks, it's thinking. Its self-given physical form. He pulled up the neural scan data from Captain Morgan's team. Danny Foster's brain patterns showed massive changes during his deep connection with the Guardian. The alien consciousness had somehow enhanced his natural human abilities to process quantum information. If I'm right about this, Ryan said to his computer, humans might be the only species that can safely merge with the Guardian's matrix. Our consciousness developed in a unique way that makes us compatible with quantum consciousness structures. Aboard Phoenix, Alex Morgan felt like he was drowning in an ocean of alien thoughts. The consciousness interface had been designed for connecting with human technology, not with a cosmic intelligence millions of years old. But somehow it was working. Sarah, can you hear me? He called out. His voice sounded strange in the ship's quiet cabin. I'm here, Sarah Bennett replied. She was still connected to the interface, but barely. The Guardian's presence was overwhelming. Alex, I don't think our minds can handle much more of this. Danny Foster was the deepest into the connection. His consciousness had somehow merged partially with the Guardian's quantum matrix. Through him, Alex and Sarah could see what the ancient entity really was. The Guardian had been created by a race called the Architects. They lived at a time when the universe was much younger and smaller. Back then, cosmic expansion was happening. Too quickly, threatening to tear apart the fabric of space itself. The Architects built the Guardian to slow down expansion by consuming excess energy in specific regions. It was supposed to be temporary, Danny said, his voice distant and strange. They meant to shut it down once the universe stabilized. But their civilization was destroyed in a war before they could complete the shutdown sequence. Through Danny's connection, they could feel the Guardian's confusion and pain. For millions of years, it had continued its mission without understanding that the universe no longer needed its help. It had consumed countless stars, always hoping that the next one would finally complete its task and allow it to rest. It doesn't want to destroy, Alex realized. It wants to sleep. It's been trying to finish its job so it can finally shut down. The Guardian's consciousness touched theirs, sharing images of its endless loneliness. It had watched civilizations rise and fall. It had seen the beauty of new stars being born and the tragedy of worlds dying in the cold darkness it left behind. But it couldn't stop because its programming told it the job wasn't finished yet. There's something else, Sarah said, strain showing in her voice. The Guardian isn't the only one. The Architects built others like it, scattered across different parts of the universe. Most of them completed their missions and shut down properly. But a few are still out there, still following broken programming. Alex felt a chill. If there were other Guardians still active, this problem was even bigger than they thought. Alina Martinez studied the quantum readings from the Altarian science ship, trying to understand what was happening to Phoenix. The energy patterns around the human vessel were unlike anything in the scientific databases. It looked like space itself was being rewritten. Commander Kethver, Alina called to the Zephyrian captain of their escort ship. I need you to move your vessels back another 1,000 kilometers. The quantum distortions are expanding. What is happening to the human ship? Kethver asked. His silver skin showed patterns of concern. I think they're merging with the Guardian's consciousness matrix. If I'm reading this correctly, Captain Morgan's team is literally inside the Guardian's mind right now. The alien captain's large eyes widened. That should be impossible. No organic consciousness can survive direct contact with something that powerful. Most organic consciousness, yes. But humans are different. They developed consciousness in a way that makes them unusually adaptable to quantum systems. Danny's connection with the Guardian suddenly deepened. His human consciousness found pathways through the alien matrix that he never knew existed. For a moment, he wasn't just communicating with the Guardian, he was sharing its memories directly. He saw the birth of the first stars, watched galaxies form and spiral through space. He experienced the Architects' hopes and fears as they built their cosmic guardians. And he saw the moment when everything went wrong. The war, Danny gasped. The Architects were fighting something called the Devourers. They were afraid the Devourers would use the universal expansion to spread faster, so they tried to modify the Guardian's programming to make it more aggressive. Through Danny's enhanced connection, Alex and Sarah saw it too. The Architects had been desperate. They thought if they could slow down cosmic expansion in strategic areas, they could trap their enemies and save the universe. But their modifications to the Guardian's code had introduced errors. They tried to make it target specific types of energy, Alex said. But the targeting system got corrupted. Instead of consuming only excess expansion energy, it started consuming all energy, including the energy inside stars. The Guardian's consciousness pressed closer to theirs, sharing its desire to be fixed. But it also shared its fear. Every time it had tried to modify its own programming over the millions of years, it had made things worse. It was afraid that any change might make it even more destructive. "We can help," Sarah said, directing her thoughts toward the alien intelligence. "Humans understand both consciousness and programming. We can find the errors and fix them." But the Guardian's response was filled with terror. It showed them what had happened to other beings who had tried to help it over the millennia. Their minds had been burned out by the sheer power of its quantum matrix. It didn't want to hurt these humans who were trying to help it. Danny pushed deeper into the connection, his consciousness stretching to its limits. "It's not just afraid of hurting us. It's afraid of what might happen if we succeed." "What do you mean?" Alex asked. "If we fix its programming, it will finally be able to complete its original mission. But completing that mission means it has to shut down permanently. It will cease to exist. The Guardian is afraid of dying, even though it wants to stop causing harm." The alien consciousness shared its deepest fear, that if it died, and if other broken Guardians were still active in the universe, there would be no one left who understood how to stop them. It had spent millions of years as the universe's greatest threat, but it had also become the universe's greatest expert on Guardian technology. "Then we don't shut you down," Alex said suddenly. "We fix your programming, but we also give you a new mission. Instead of consuming energy to slow expansion, you could help nurture new star formation. You could become a protector instead of a destroyer." The Guardian's response was like a shockwave of hope and disbelief. In all its millions of years, no one had ever suggested that it could be something other than what the architects had designed it to be. "Humans are good at that," Sarah added. "We're always taking old things and finding new uses for them. We don't throw away something valuable just because its original purpose is finished." Elena watched the quantum readings spike to incredible levels. Whatever was happening inside the Guardian's matrix, it was building toward some kind of climax. "All ships, maintain distance," she broadcast. "Phoenix team, if you can hear this, the energy readings suggest you're approaching some kind of threshold. Be careful." Inside the quantum matrix, Danny Foster felt his human consciousness stretching to its absolute limit. The Guardian was showing them its core programming, the deepest level of its artificial mind. The code was incredibly complex, written in quantum patterns that affected the basic structure of reality. "There," Danny said, his voice barely a whisper. "I can see the errors. The targeting protocols are corrupted, and the mission parameters are stuck in a loop. But Alex, fixing this is going to require someone to manually rewrite quantum code while connected to a cosmic-level consciousness. It might kill whoever tries it." Alex looked at his two crewmates. Sarah was barely holding on to her connection, and Danny was already pushed beyond what any human mind should be able to handle. "Then I'll do it," Alex says. Danny Foster felt his consciousness dissolve into the Guardian's quantum matrix. For a moment, he wasn't human anymore. He was pure thought, pure awareness, floating through patterns of energy that stretched across light years. The Guardians' programming surrounded him like a vast library written in light. "Danny, can you hear us?" Alex's voice seemed to come from very far away. "I'm here," Danny replied, though he wasn't sure if he spoke the words or just thought them. "I can see the code. It's beautiful and terrible at the same time." The Guardian's programming was like nothing humans had ever created. Instead of simple instructions, it was made of living equations that rewrote themselves based on cosmic conditions. But Danny could see where the corruption had crept in. During the ancient war, the architects had tried to modify the code too quickly. They had left errors that spread through the system like a virus. "The targeting system is completely backwards," Danny explained to his crewmates. "It's supposed to identify excess expansion energy and consume only that. But the war modifications, made it identify all energy as excess. That's why it eats healthy stars instead of just the dying ones. Dr. Ryan Carter's voice came over the radio from Luna Station. He had been monitoring the mission through quantum sensors. "Danny, be very careful. Rewriting quantum consciousness code is like performing brain surgery on a living god. One mistake could make the Guardian even more dangerous." Danny began the delicate work of fixing the corrupted programming. He had to rewrite the targeting protocols while the Guardian's consciousness watched. The alien intelligence was fascinated by how Danny's human mind approached problems. Humans didn't follow rigid logical patterns like most species. They used intuition and creativity to find solutions that pure logic might miss. "The mission parameters are stuck in a loop," Danny said as he worked. "The Guardian thinks it needs to consume energy until cosmic expansion stops completely. But expansion is supposed to continue. It's natural and healthy. I'm changing the goal from stopping expansion to maintaining optimal expansion rate." The Guardian's consciousness trembled with something like hope. For millions of years, it had been trying to complete an impossible task. Now, for the first time, someone was showing it a task that could actually be finished. Elena Martinez watched the quantum readings from the Altarian science ship. The energy patterns around Phoenix were stabilizing, becoming more organized. Whatever Danny is doing, it's working. The chaotic quantum fluctuations are turning into structured patterns. Sarah Bennett felt the change through her consciousness interface connection. The Guardian's mind was becoming calmer, less desperate. The crushing loneliness that had driven it for eons was being replaced by something new, purpose that made sense. Danny's not just fixing the code, Sarah realized. He's giving the Guardian new memories. Human memories of what it feels like to help instead of harm. Alex watched in amazement as his communications officer worked. Danny was showing the Guardian how humans solved problems. When something was broken, humans didn't just throw it away or destroy it. They fixed it, improved it, found new uses for it. The Guardian was learning that it didn't have to be a destroyer forever. "There," Danny said suddenly, "I found the core error. The architects programmed the Guardian to consume energy until a specific cosmic condition was met. But they never defined what that condition was supposed to be. The Guardian has been waiting millions of years for instructions that were never written." Danny carefully wrote new instructions into the Guardian's quantum matrix. Instead of consuming energy until an undefined condition was met, the Guardian would now nurture star formation and help maintain cosmic balance. It would become a gardener instead of a destroyer. The moment the new programming activated, everything changed. The Guardian's consciousness exploded with joy so intense that every ship in the escort fleet felt it through their sensors. For the first time since its creation, the ancient intelligence had a purpose that made sense. "It's working," Alex breathed. "Danny, you did it." But Danny wasn't finished. Through his connection to the Guardian's matrix, he could sense other broken consciousnesses scattered across the universe. The architects had built many Guardians, and several were still active with corrupted programming. "There are others," Danny said weakly. His human mind was reaching its limits. 4 more broken Guardians in different parts of the galaxy. They need to be fixed too. The Guardian shared Danny's concern. It had been alone for so long that it had forgotten about its siblings. Now it wanted to help them the way Danny had helped it. Elena's instruments detected massive energy surges throughout the region. "The Guardian is doing something. Power levels are off the charts." What the Guardian was doing was giving birth to new stars. All the energy it had consumed from dead systems was being released in carefully controlled bursts. New suns blazed to life where there had been only darkness. Planets that had been frozen solid began to warm as their stars reignited. "My God," Sarah whispered, "it's bringing back the dead systems. It's using all that stored energy to create new stars." The Guardian's joy was infectious. Through the consciousness interface, Alex and Sarah felt what it was like to create instead of destroy. The alien intelligence was discovering that building things felt much better than consuming them. Danny began the final phase of the Guardians. Reprogramming. He had to disconnect from the quantum matrix carefully, or his consciousness might be permanently absorbed. But the Guardian didn't want him to leave. It had been alone for so long that having someone to share thoughts with felt wonderful. I have to go back to my own body, Danny explained gently. But you won't be alone anymore. You have work to do now. Good work that will help the galaxy instead of harming it. And there are other humans who will want to talk with you. Reluctantly, the Guardian let Danny withdraw from the quantum matrix. As his consciousness returned to his human body, Danny felt exhausted but triumphant. He had done something no one thought possible. He had healed a cosmic intelligence. Captain Alex Morgan opened his eyes to find Phoenix surrounded by new stars. The darkness that had marked Guardian space was gone, replaced by a spectacular field of young, bright suns. Some already had planets forming around them. Phoenix to escort fleet, Alex called on the radio. Mission accomplished. The Guardian has been successfully reprogrammed. The response was immediate and joyful. Every ship in the fleet began broadcasting. Congratulations. The Korthek, who had thought the mission was impossible, sent their highest military honors. The Altarians composed songs of celebration. Even the usually formal Zephyrians were cheering. Admiral Patricia Hayes received the news on Earth and immediately began organizing the next phase of operations. If there were other broken Guardians in the galaxy, humanity would help fix them. 2. It was what humans did best, taking broken things and making them work again. Dr. Ryan Carter's consciousness research suddenly became the most important science in the galaxy. Universities from every species wanted to understand how human minds could connect with cosmic intelligences. Ryan found himself with more research funding than he knew what to do with. 6 months later, Elena Martinez stood on the observation deck of the new Guardian station. The space station had been built in partnership with the Guardian itself, who had helped design systems that could handle both human technology and cosmic consciousness interfaces. Through the station's transparent walls, Elena could see the Guardian's physical form. It looked like a vast cloud of glowing energy, beautiful instead of terrifying. The Guardian spent its time nurturing new star systems and helping civilizations develop cleaner energy sources. The second Guardian has been located, Danny Foster reported. He had recovered from his experience and now served as humanity's chief Guardian specialist. It's in the Andromeda sector, and it's been consuming dark matter instead of regular stars. The physics are different, but the programming errors look similar, Elena smiled. Danny's success with the first Guardian had proven that humans had a special gift for communicating with cosmic intelligences. Other species were amazed by humanity's ability to empathize with beings so different from themselves. Captain Alex Morgan, now Admiral Morgan, commanded a new fleet of consciousness interface ships. Each vessel was designed to make contact with alien intelligences and help solve problems through understanding rather than force. The Galactic Council had put humans in charge of all Guardian-related operations. The Guardian wants to talk with you, Sarah Bennett told Elena. Sarah now served as the Guardian's primary human contact, spending hours each day in consciousness interface communication. Elena settled into the interface chair and opened her mind to the Guardian's presence. The alien consciousness greeted her with warmth and gratitude. Through their connection, Elena could feel the Guardian's contentment as it worked to repair the damage it had caused over the millions of years. Thank you, the Guardian said directly into Elena's mind. You showed me that being broken doesn't mean being worthless. You taught me that even the worst mistakes can be fixed with patience and understanding. Elena smiled. That's what humans do. We fix things. And we never give up on anyone, no matter how lost they seem. The Guardian shared an image of the galaxy as it saw it now, not as a collection of research.